using trigonometry to find angles of elevation or depression in a word problem. A plane is 160 miles north and 184 miles east of an airport. Find x, the angle the pilot should turn in order to fly directly to the airport. So they give us this diagram, and I'm not sure if they're going to give us the diagram on the other screen, so we may need to draw it. But they're showing us, here's north, south, west, east, and they told us they're 116 miles north, 184 miles east. So this is basically it's a coordinate system. That's exactly what it works out to be. And they want to know what's the angle that they need to turn instead of going straight west. How far do they need to turn in order to get to the airport, just directly from where they are? So what we're going to do is we're going to use one of our 3 trig functions, and I know we have our other 3 basic trig functions, but we're going to go back to just the basic 3 here because it's easy enough to solve this one with one of these 3. So then we look, and we're going to label it just like I've been labeling them all week long because this is a little easier. Oop. Here, I'm going to clear this out. I'm going to make this a little smaller here. All right, so we have opposite. We want to look at the side opposite. And then we want to look at hypotenuse. Hypotenuse is always across from the 90. And then the adjacent is the angle of focus. It's in between the angle of focus and the 90. So this is our adjacent, this 184. So now that we know these amounts, we can figure out which function we need to use because we have opposite and adjacent. So that tells me right away I'm going to use tangent. I'm going to use tangent of x equals opposite over adjacent. So now what I want to do is I want to grab my calculator here. Move this out of my way. I'm going to turn this off too, just again, so it's all out of my way. So I have 116 divided by 184, and I want to get my decimal. And here's this nice long decimal. Don't round it yet. We want to wait till the very end. Because I have tangent of x, this is that one where we don't have the angle, so we actually need to go and find the arc of the trigonomic function. So that's shown by this -1 on top. If you're using a different calculator, you may need to hit the second button in order to see these. But in this calculator for Alex, it just brings it right up for us. So instead of hitting just tangent, I want to hit arc tangent, which is this one. That will tell me what it is. Now, my decimal is also highlighted, so when I clicked arc tangent, it automatically inserted it correctly. If your number isn't highlighted, that won't happen. So make sure you either highlight it or you have to retype the entire thing back in there. Do not round yet. We'll round at this step. So it says round to the nearest 1/10 of a degree. So we want to round to a 1/10 of a degree, which is this 2. We have to look at the 2 that's right after it. As long as it's 4 or smaller, we leave it the way it is. If this is 5 or bigger, then that's when we round this 1/10 up just to the next 1/10. So if we scroll down here, we see they get the exact same answer. So that's all we're going to do. We just have to decide which trigonomic function are we going to use, and then we apply our rules here. Okay, so this says, trying to get my little pen tool out of the way here. A 17-foot ladder leans against the side of a house. The bottom of the ladder is 6 feet away from the side of the house. Find x, the angle of elevation of the ladder. So we want to know what's the angle of elevation for this ladder. So let's go through and label our pieces here. So we have, here's our angle of focus is x, so this is opposite. And then we have hypotenuse. That's always across from the 90. And then adjacent is between our angle of focus and the 90. So 6 is our adjacent. So we have hypotenuse and adjacent. That's why I like to label these, so we know exactly which ones we're going to use. So adjacent hypotenuse says I'm going to use cosine. So cosine of x equals adjacent over hypotenuse. So now I'm going to go grab my calculator. Boom. Move this over. So I'm going to have 6 divided by 17 equals. Don't unhighlight it. Immediately hit arc cosine. And that will tell you what this next piece has to be. Did I hit undo? Uh-oh. I feel like I hit undo. Hold on. Divided by 17. I'm going to try one more time because I was looking off to the side here when I hit the button. Equals. Okay. So we want to round to a 1/10. So I'm going to highlight to the 10th. I need to look at the number right past it. That's smaller than 4, so we're good to write 69.3 degrees. Check. All right, next one. Let's clear this. Okay, so it says a ramp 22 feet long rises to a platform that is 17 feet off the ground. Find X, the angle of elevation of the ramp. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a degree. So let's go ahead and label these. So here's our angle of focus. So opposite of that is 17. That's our opposite. And then our hypotenuse is across from the 90. And there's nothing written on the adjacent one here, which is between our angle of focus and 90. So we're not going to use adjacent. But again, this helps me really quickly know I need to use one that has hypotenuse and opposite. So I come over here and that tells me I'm going to use sine. So sine of x equals opposite over hypotenuse. So now I can go to my calculator here. Trying to get this stuff out of the way. 17 divided by 22 equals, and then without on highlighting, I'm going to hit arc sine, and then equals again. So this gives me my angle. So 50.5. I want to round to the 0.5, but I need to look one more number. That 9 is definitely bigger than 5, so I'm going to round 5 up to 6. 50.6. And check. Perfect. Let's do one more of these. Okay, so we have, oh, darn it. My pen tool's arguing with me. Find X, the angle of depression from the top of the lighthouse that is 176 feet above water level to the waterline of a ship 877 feet offshore. Round your answer to the nearest tenth of a degree. Okay, so we're going to go, here's my angle of focus, here's opposite. So this is opposite. And then we have hypotenuse. So we're not going to use hypotenuse because there's nothing written here. But we are going to use adjacent. And that's between my angle of focus and my 90. Okay, so I'm going to use adjacent and opposite. So that tells me I'm going to use tangent. Tangent of x equals opposite over adjacent. And I'm going to grab my calculator here. So I have 176 divided by 877 equals, and without unhighlighting, I'm going to hit arc tangent and then equals one more time. So now I want to round to the 10th of a degree. So I look, this is 4 or smaller, so I do leave it at 11.3. And check. All right, perfect. We did another one.